Welcome to the HyperFast Agent Growth Show. Get real strategies, real results, and real estate them differently. Lead generation, team building, AI, and more from billion-dollar agents, best-selling authors, international speakers, and real estate coaches, Keri Shull and Lesniak. Let's dive in!
All right, welcome back to the HyperFast Agent Growth Show. I'm your host, Dan Lesniak, along with Keri Shull.
Hi, everybody. We're glad you're here today. So listen, one of the things that we've recognized over the years is that a lot of people are spending their attention in the wrong areas. So we wanted to kick off the second podcast here doing an AI business assessment. We're going to break down the steps that you should take to really look at your business as we're heading into a new year to make sure that you're setting yourself up for massive success and growth.
And a lot of times too, you like to use the word autopsy instead of assessment. So some people call it that as well. So we'll kind of use those terms interchangeably. I mean, maybe it's a little grim for some, autopsy, but we've been doing those, by the way, in our coaching programs for years. That was one of the things people enjoyed the most. We kind of have this hot seat, right? And put someone on the hot seat, and Keri would interview them about every part of their business, and the group would get to watch and interact, and really would help people see like blind spots or things they didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's like categories of growth, right? So for somebody out there that's a solo agent, I'm still going to autopsy as though it's a team, because ultimately, if you're moving towards growth, I think you want to be thinking, not necessarily, some of you are like, Keri, I would never want to scale the type of team that you have. Hey, it's okay. It's not for everybody. But for a lot of you, you still need a team around you. You have a home inspector, you have a title agent, you have a mortgage lender, you have all these people. And so when you're thinking about growth, I think what it comes down to is leads and people, right? And when you figure those two things out, you can have massive success at scale. Usually what ends up happening is as you grow, the systems really matter too, right? So you need leads, people, and systems. And when you grow in a way that's out of whack, which it's always out of whack because you can never be exactly predictable with the speed that you're going to grow, you're constantly having to revise your strategy and look at where you are and then figure out what's going on under the hood and how to fix it, right?
You know, one of the things I always loved about our live masterminds that we did, and we still do them, by the way, multiple times a year for different real estate agents that we coach. But one of the things that's cool about that is, you know, it's not just Keri and I examining that agent's business. It's getting like the collective knowledge from the 10 or 20 or however many other agents are in the room and bringing in their perspectives and what they're learning. And those are great. I still think everyone should do in-person events when they can. You know, there's just something about them, I think, that really helps elevate your business, and it does so much. But you can't always do them, and so doing this business autopsy on you know, using AI tools allows you to do it more often, and you're actually like bringing together the collective knowledge of like the world, right? The AI it's searching everything, so it's bringing a lot more you know, perspective and learning into your business, and you can do them more often. We've got a 4-quadrant AI business assessment framework that I'm going to share, and then Keri's going to deep dive into an example of one we've done recently. Right?
Yeah.
So you're sitting down, you don't know where to get started, right? The first step you need to realize, right, is, you know, most agents that we talk to, they think they have a lead problem, right? But usually the real problem is the allocation of attention, right? Where to spend your time, where to spend your resources. And this is really going to help you do that. So step one, lead flow, right? Have AI, you can upload you know, your CRM using CSV data file or there's other ways, right? So upload it into the AI that you're going to use. For us, it's primarily ChatGPT, and just have it analyze where your conversions came from, right? So look at like all your closed business, or maybe some of you use a spreadsheet for this or a sold log, right? And look at all your closed business and where it came from. Okay. Then step two is figure out where your time has been spent, right? So use AI to map out your calendar, and it's going to help you identify time leaks. It's going to help you identify um, if there's a mismatch, right? Because if you see you're spending like 80% of your time doing administrative tasks or things that could be replaced, right? But your business primarily came from, 70% this source, right? Well, you probably should try to figure out, how do I reallocate that time into the lead sources that we're converting at the highest levels?
Yeah, so an example of this in our business, we used to use Commissions Inc., right? And the year that we decided when we did this autopsy, we didn't have AI, by the way, so I was doing it on the back of a napkin. I'm just kidding. It was a while ago though. And we were looking at it and we had closed 17 transactions through Commission Inc. With some of you are like, oh, great, 17 transactions. But I was having heart palpitations over that because there were thousands and thousands of leads that had come in and we only closed 17. And so I started to break down how much of our ISA's capacity was used talking to, following up with these leads, and how many other opportunities did we miss out on because we were distracted by this influx of low price, poor quality leads. So I think it's important that what Dan's saying, you analyze it. And a couple of tips on if you're trying to analyze it and you have a large CRM or a large database of buyers, we use Follow Up Boss. We have about 190,000 leads. We have not done this yet, but I've heard of teams using Operator AI as a plugin. And then the other GPT that I've heard is excellent with data analytics is Claude. So throwing that out there because it could be helpful for you. Yeah.
Now, the next step in this audit is going to see what your marketing impact is, right? So you can actually use AI to go back, use ChatGPT and tell it, analyze my last 10 days or 10 posts or whatever time frame. Right? You can go back a month if you want, right? Analyze my last month on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever platforms you're on, and have it analyze your post and evaluate you on the tone that you're using, who would be attracted to that, and see where the gaps are. Now, you can also have ChatGPT research, right? Ask it like, how do I appear in my, internet marketing, my website, and everything that's known about me publicly? How do I appear to buyers and sellers who would be attracted? And then you're going to find out like where the marketing gaps are, because maybe you want to work with, a lot more move up buyers, but your content is more first time home buyers or vice versa or whatever, right? So use it to analyze the gaps in your marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a team leader, have it do the same thing where it analyze how you're approaching agent recruitment. Because sometimes who you're wanting to reach and what you're saying don't align. So part of it is are you clear about who you want to recruit and what message will appeal to that person? And ChatGPT kicked me in the teeth with some of how we were approaching that process. We're going to share more about that, but that's important as well to attract the right people.
Yeah, now after you've done these first 3 steps, you should be able to have a general idea of like where you should be spending your time that you're not currently, uh, where you should be changing your marketing message, and then have ChatGPT analyze like what would happen to me. Ask it like, what would happen to me financially if, I increased this lead source by 20%, or, whatever numbers you think you can do, and increase my average commission by X amount and shorten my days on market from, where they're at now to where you think you can get them. And then it's going to take those 3 metrics, analyze your past business, and tell you the potential return, on these new efforts, and the financial return that you'll get if you implement them.
Yeah. Another way to do the financial blueprint for next year is to say, here's my income goal. Tell me what I need to change after you've done the first 3 steps to hit my income goal, and have it break down how it thinks that you should make adjustments to hit the goal that you want.
Yeah, so like in general, I think the theme here we've been talking about today is how do you use ChatGPT as your thinking partner, your coach? Like, it's, and the more you talk to it, the more information you give it about your business, and your goals and where you want to go, it'll come up with things. And you might not like what it spits back out at you. That's fine. Well, just tell it, right? Talk to it.
Before,
Talk to it in plain
before
plain
you
English.
tell it that it shouldn't tell you that answer, though, take a minute to breathe through the fact that you don't like the answer and really process what it's saying. If you find yourself being like, no, that's not true, or no, 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 you can convince it to move away because it won't continue to shine the flashlight on you if you try and move it in another direction, right? It's designed to hallucinate and to give you false information if you lead it in that direction. So instead, when you're using it as a thought partner, stay very open and very focused on what can I take from this, because sometimes it's going to give you insight that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. You're not going to love it, but it's going to help you in the long run.
Right now, do you have a recent example of a way that you've used AI to audit your business, or an agent on the team, or someone you've been coaching, perhaps?
Yeah, so I have a coaching client that I just started working with. I tend to work only with people who are building teams. But this individual agent reached out to me. She's like, I listened to every single one of your testimonials. I'm absolutely committed to working with you. I was concerned. She sold 18 homes last year. And I said, well, I'm expensive. I'm not sure if this is going to be in alignment. And she's like, how many months do you need? I've listened to everything and I want to coach with you. So when we went through her 18 transactions, we audited where they had come from, the price points, and we noticed there were 3 that were higher price points. And so the amount of work she had to do on these 3 transactions compared to a lot of the other transactions, when we traced down where they came from, it was like, oh my gosh, the expireds and withdrawns. She's really, really good at being fierce. And she has a strategy where at 6 o'clock in the morning, she follows up with expireds and withdrawns in a really smart way, and then she calls them on the phone at 8 a.m. And so that successfully got her price point up so dramatically that we started focusing on how she could shift her attention to that, because the lower price point leads she was converting were in the 2s and 3s, which, imagine if you're able to convert a lead at 850 to $1 million versus 2 to 3, the impact of your work, right? And so what she realized is, if I can go after listings by doing this autopsy and then get other listings around the listings, that would change my average price point dramatically and my net income would increase. And I think when we mapped out her ability for financial growth, it was 4 to 5 times what she made last year in 1 year. And in her first 2 weeks after doing the autopsy, she did a handwritten note campaign that we talked about around one of her listings, and she got her first listing at 1.2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So dramatic results, right? And then the other thing, I did an audit, and I didn't do it on ChatGPT. I should have, but I did it personally, where I went and looked at all of the different places. And one of the things I noticed is that on her website, the average price point was there. And since we were really working hard to increase her average price point, it was like telling those high price point leads, hey, this isn't where I usually do my business. So we simply made an adjustment to how that was presenting so that she would have an easier time converting business at a higher level. Those are just, imagine, these are just tiny tweaks, right? And then the other thing we added is case studies. So when you imagine that you have a track record of success, which we will, I promise you, if you're somebody who's watching this and you want more listings and you want to be successful in higher price points, we're going to teach you our case study strategy, where we use our clients' real stories and the fact-based numbers to present in neighborhoods where we already have a listing to get more listings. And that's killing it for us. In fact, this year, from a personal example, we had a townhome where we sold the townhome for 90 something, 98,000, let's say, more than the average price per square foot of any other townhome in the neighborhood. So in addition to doing the case study letter, we dropped off 100 grand candy bars and the case study letter. And we said, congratulations, you just made an extra $100,000. Here's how we did it. Here's why we want to help you. And a family picked up the phone and called us and said, oh my gosh, I wasn't thinking of selling, but it felt so serendipitous that we decided to move to Pennsylvania. So how you market matters, guys. And if you go deep into this autopsy, you're going to have some aha moments. ChatGPT may have reflected some of the same points to her that I reflected, right? If analyzing the business. And so I would say you want to just make sure that you're asking the right questions. Don't lead ChatGPT to give you the answers that you want. Instead, seek the actual truth so you can make the critical adjustments and not keep going down the path you're going down. The whole reason you're doing this autopsy is to recalibrate and make different decisions.
Yeah, so before we sign off today, I want to give you guys 2 things to do. Number 1, please leave us a review. Help us impact more agents by, boosting the podcast. So leave us a 5-star review, please, or a comment on YouTube. Subscribe if you're over on YouTube, or Apple or Spotify, wherever you guys are listening. And then number 2, we're heading into 2026, and I think now is a better time than ever to do your own AI audit of your business. So take the framework we've given you, put it into ChatGPT, ask it questions about your business, tell it where you want to be at the end of 2026, and start building out your plan today.
And can I say something? Like, think big. So we just read the book 10x is better than 2x. And when you're setting your goal, before you make a final decision on how much you want to leap, on how high you want to go, read that book. 10x is better than 2x.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning into this episode of the HyperFast Agent Growth Show. We will see you next time. In our next episode, by the way, we're going to be talking about 7 AI tools that you should be using in your business right now. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to HyperFast Agent Growth Show with Keri Shull and Lesniak. Real strategies, real results, real estate done differently. If you love this episode, tap subscribe and share with another agent who's ready to grow.